Prabhupada, who single-handedly came to America and made sure that all of us here came today to sit in this room. So, yesterday was a very special day. Max, what was yesterday?
Yesterday was Saturday? Save Saturday?
Seva Saturday! What is Seva Saturday?
Save Saturday is when the devotees here get together and do a morning program at the temple, help out, hang out, take a shot. That's what you mean, right?
No, it was a good time. Wonderful time for the devotees to associate.
Nothing
Get
special?
together.
Krishna Prema, did anything happen yesterday?
Srila Prabhupada came to the West to deliver all the fools and rascals of Western bodies.
So yesterday, September 13th, was the day Srila Prabhupada stepped on the Boston Harbor. He stepped off the Jalajuta ship. And what did he do in Boston, Marsha?
Well, he looked around, he didn't know which way to turn, left or right, because there were so many different things, and then he wrote a poem about how he didn't know why he was brought here, but his guru had sent him, so he must go and deliver all these people.
So after Srila Prabhupada went to Boston, where did he go?
Gap.
Quicker guess. Incorrect. You can give it to somebody else. Argentina? Just guess.
I think it was Philadelphia or New York.
Philadelphia, yes, he did go there, but immediately after he arrived in Boston, I don't think it's very well.
It is very, I'm very close with that.
Okay. So immediately after he landed in Boston, where did he go to? Max.
Brooklyn.
Wrong.
Where did he go?
He went back on the ship.
Alright.
How did he get to Brooklyn, Prabhu? Srila Prabhupada stayed for 1 or 2 days in Boston. That's where he did his customs. Then after that, he went straight back onto the Jalajuta, not going to India this time, but instead he went to Brooklyn. And from Brooklyn, he caught a bus to Philadelphia, where he went to the Pittsburgh house. Pittsburgh. Yes. So recently, I have been coming here at the temples on Mondays for Gora Arti. And Gora Arti, if anyone doesn't know, it's Bhajan Govinda's day to lead on Mondays. So whenever Bhajan Govinda is there, we have to always have a good discussion about Srila Prabhupada, right, Bhajan Govinda?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Only Srila Prabhupada, that's all Bhajan Govinda talks about. So, Max put me on to Srila Prabhupada memories. And after that, I started talking a lot about Srila Prabhupada memories with Max on Mondays.
What is Srila Prabhupada memories?
Srila Prabhupada Memories is a collection of videos that Srila Prabhupada disciples are talking about their own interactions with Srila Prabhupada so that we can learn more about him after his disappearance. So, me and Max started talking about Prabhupada memories, then Bhajan Govinda came in and he started telling us all of his Prabhupada memories. So, today was really created because of all of these amazing discussions we had. So, I was genuinely so happy when I found out that we were all going to give a panel discussion on Srila Prabhupada memories. And Max, was there any planning you did on your part to make this possible?
On my part, yeah, I was just sitting there watching YouTube. It's kind of the easiest planning I've done ever. No, but I mean, in all reality, these Srila Prabhupada memories, and we'll get into the details about where to find them and everything if you haven't heard of them. But on YouTube, we have disciples talking about their pastimes with Srila Prabhupada, and every single one is so amazing. So some of them are the most minute, small things that you wouldn't think would be of any note. But if Srila Prabhupada does it, then it's the most amazing thing ever. He always finds the most amazing thing to do the most regular, amazing way to do the most regular things. And preparation, just watch it too.
And Bhajan Govinda, did you have any limitations or difficulties when you came across this project?
I have a short attention span.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So yeah, I would say we all contributed pretty equally. Bhaja Govinda really focused on that storytelling aspect of it. So I hope a few tears can be shed during the day. Is that your goal, Bhaja Govinda? We're all of us, not just the people. Okay. You have big dreams, Prabhu. So first, me? So I would first like to ask for everyone's blessing so that our team can offer this presentation to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. So with that, we will begin with the invocation prayers. Om
Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Savidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swadhantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagara Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parikana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Radha Sagara Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopinatha Radha Kanta Namostute Radha Vanchana Onanti Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshakapataruyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Bhagirana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnuvaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So Dr. Max, could you first start off by talking about the contents and what we will be presenting?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so number one, universal teacher. Has everyone heard the term Jagat? Jagat Guru?
Yeah.
Yes. Srila Prabhupada is the spiritual master of not just the United States or the West or the entire world. He's the spiritual master of the entire universe. Here to deliver everybody, all forms of life. So we'll set that up. Then we'll go into the voyage. Srila Prabhupada's actual fairly difficult voyage across from India to Boston Harbor. Surrender exemplified. Yeah, we'll go into then a short story about Srila Prabhupada and his Guru Maharaj and how he exemplifies the surrender we should have to the Guru. Infinite relationships. We'll do a segment on the lesser known side of Srila Prabhupada, the perhaps funny or sweet or compassionate side. Those relationships that he has with all of his disciples individually. We'll relay some stories about those. Dancing revolution. Yes, as Bhaji Govinda likes to say, dance revolution. We'll have a nice energetic story at the end about Kirtan and how certain aspects of Kirtan came about, which may not be as well known.
To know Krishna, you approach Krishna's devotee. You know, not only Rama. Srila Prabhupada. But to know Srila Prabhupada, the same is true. We can approach his devotee. And one such devotee that can help us to really understand his authority, Srila Prabhupada's authority on this earth and his mission, is Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Amazing personality. If you don't know Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he was actually the first African-bodied sannyas in our movement. Along with that, he was his main service was book distribution, but book distribution to higher society. So like universities, high-end professors. He's been to Princeton. Actually, before he became a devotee, he graduated from Princeton. Kind of helps to understand what kind of a learned individual this personality was. But his interaction with Srila Prabhupada and how he actually came to devotional life is very interesting. Bhakti Tirtha Swami, before he even got into learning about Srila Prabhupada, meeting the devotees, he had already begun trying to search out spirituality and spiritual life. He explains in his Srila Prabhupada memories that he had taken a lot of different initiations with a bunch of different gurus from across the spectrum. There's one specific guru that he had a very strong connection with, that taught him for about 3.5 years. But in that time, he would still go around, take initiation, learn from different people. And one individual that he went to, he took initiation from them. This person proclaimed himself as a Jagat Guru. So when he took this initiation from this personality, from this person, he went to this, I'm going to call him his first teacher, his long-standing teacher, his 3.5-year guru. He went to this first guru, and he told him about initiation. Hey, I got initiated. He called himself a Jagat Guru. And then his first teacher kind of chuckled a little bit. He laughed. He said, he is a Mayavad philosopher. He is no Jagat Guru. Then he looked at Bhakti Tirtha Swami in the eyes and he said, do you want to know who is Jagat Guru? Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he was taken aback a little bit. Caught him off guard. Like, do I want to know? I'm not sure. Then he asked a second time, do you really want to know who is Jagat Guru? Now he was kind of conflicted. He had a little bit of curiosity, he also was a little apprehensive. Like, maybe I don't want to know. But curiosity got the best of him. He asked the third time, do you want to know who is Jagat Guru? Then Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he said, yes, I want to know. Who is Jagat Guru? This first guru of his explained that the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada, he is Jagat Guru. The Hare Krishna devotees under Srila Prabhupada, they have the highest knowledge on this planet. And Bhakti Tirtha Swami at first, he was thinking, the Hare Krishnas? You mean the guys in the bed sheets? The guys with the mismatched socks and the tennis shoes that jump up and down and are singing all over the streets? Those Hare Krishnas with the war paint on their face? They have the highest knowledge? No, not impossible. So after hearing about this, because he had come across the devotees 2-3 times already, but this is the first time that this guru of his had really put him onto it. But it's interesting because when he heard that name, he was thinking, Srila Prabhupada. Wait, he had talked about Srila Prabhupada before. This first guru of his, he was teaching him Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, all these different yoga systems. But every time he would explain something, he would also add, but Srila Prabhupada explained it like this. But Srila Prabhupada gave the understanding of this, and that. And initially when his first guru was talking about Srila Prabhupada, he was thinking, oh, it must be his cousin. Very smart man that he has as a cousin. But no, now it's all making sense, it's all clicking, it's all connecting. So he sought out the devotees. And initially the mood he had was fault finding. I know my guru said this, but I don't believe him. There's something wrong with this movement and I'm gonna find it. So, what did he do? He got all of Srila Prabhupada's books and studied them. He went to all of their Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all the morning Bhagavatam classes. And day by day, he would sit there and he would fault find. He would try to find the difficulty, the problem with their philosophy. And 1 week passed, a month passed, and eventually he became convinced. He became convinced of the philosophy. And with that, he actually ended up joining this movement, this Hare Krishna movement. Now we fast forward about, I believe it was about 2 years later, he's been with the Hare Krishnas, he's been serving Srila Prabhupada, and he reconnects with his first guru, his initial guru. The first guru that told him that Srila Prabhupada is the Jagat Guru. Jagat, again, Jagat means cosmic manifestation. Like, that's the way Srila Prabhupada describes the word Jagat. So Jagatnath, the Lord of the universe, Jagat Guru, the master or the teacher of the whole cosmic manifestation. Another way that he was explained is the master of the masters. So Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he goes back to this first guru again. And after he went back to this first guru, this guru became livid, furious after seeing Bhakti Tirtha Swami again. Why have you come back here? Why have you come back? I told you about Srila Prabhupada, but now you've come back here to ask me questions, to ask me for guidance. You will not catch me making offense to such a great personality. He went on to explain that because this individual, Bhakti Tirtha Swami described him as a mystic. You know, he was teaching all these different yoga systems, but he also had, you know, the credentials. He could read minds. He had all these different powers. The siddhis. But this guru explained that so many of us teachers knew of Srila Prabhupada's calling. All of us, so many of us knew about Srila Prabhupada's mission, but none of us lifted a finger to help. Even myself, him speaking as you know, this 3.5-year group, even myself, when I heard Srila Prabhupada was coming to America, I stopped teaching. I stopped everything. Because I know my position. The only reason I taught you, he was referring to Bhakti Tirtha Swami now, is because you want to know all this nonsense. So I taught you those things, so that you can serve Srila Prabhupada nicely. Now you found Srila Prabhupada. Now you go and you never come back. I never want to see you again. And from there, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he took the hint. He returned to Srila Prabhupada. And the rest is history. There's plenty of pastimes with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, but the only reason I'm saying this specifically is so that we can understand the position that Srila Prabhupada has taken here on this material manifestation. How fortunate we are that we just happen to be on this planet, even in the same timeline, that we didn't step in on the wrong yuga. And this is Srila Prabhupada's position. He is here to liberate all of us. And not just all of us here. He is here to liberate the entire universe. Through his books, through the devotees, wonderful devotees that he's helped to nurture and to grow. That is true Jagat Guru. He is the master of masters. He is the master of the universe. And we have the great fortune of having his association through his books, through his devotees, and even now, through his community. Srila Prabhupada built a house that all of us can live in. And now it's just time for all of us to stop by the house every now and then. You know.
So many people have stopped by the house today.
Yeah, today. Yeah, it's a very special day. But that's yeah.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki
So next I wanted to speak a little bit about the beginning of ISKCON. So it's really easy to think that the beginning of ISKCON started when Srila Prabhupada stepped foot onto Boston Harbor or when he created ISKCON in New York. But really, the beginning of ISKCON started at not just the Radha Damodar temple, but I really wanted to highlight the time that Srila Prabhupada spent at the Radha Damodar temple. Shraddhanjali Mataji, could you tell me how many years Srila Prabhupada lived at the Radha Damodar temple? Yeah.
Maybe 4 years.
Plus 2?
6 years.
Radha Damodar temple is in Vrindavan, and Radha Damodar was founded by who?
One of the good songs.
One of the Goswamis. Okay, we narrowed down the answer to 6. Again? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. What is his little nickname that we should all be? Rupanugas. And he was the one who lived at Rupa Goswami's, the ashram. Rupa Goswami. I also wanted to highlight the title of Volume 1 of Srila Prabhupada's Amrit, which is called?
Lifetime,
Yes. Say it louder, Prabhupada.
lifetime in preparation.
Yes, lifetime in preparation. This is not something that just you come upon, you have like some, oh, I was born with all this mystical power. This is something Srila Prabhupada put his time and energy towards. He put his time and energy into reading all of these literatures. As actually, when you see and you read the purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has this. Then he references another author, then another author. So really, Srimad Bhagavatam, or any of the books that Srila Prabhupada has, is not his own work. He is taking all of this from the acharyas who came before him and combining all of it into the best, what is like a one-stop, like, you know what I mean?
Stop shop.
Yeah, one-stop shop. What is it? Amazon. All your vendors into one place. You can find everything you're looking for because that's what Srila Prabhupada did. He put everything together so that we don't have to go and open all the other books. Because Srila Prabhupada himself, he read everything and he included everything in his books. So, Srila Prabhupada moved into the Radha Damodar in July of 1959. And in the temple, this is actually Srila Prabhupada in the temple, the Radha Damodar temple, picture being Prashad. This is one of his rooms. So he had 2 rooms. He had one room that was his kitchen, which is this one, and the other room was his study. And you can still go to the Radha Damodar temple today and see the 2 rooms that Srila Prabhupada lived in. They have a nice, very beautiful replica of Srila Prabhupada writing. They have his bed as well as all of his kitchen area. So I wanted to speak about Srila Prabhupada's routine at the temple. In the morning, Srila Prabhupada would first write and chant japa, as we all know. Then he would go and he would circumambulate the samadhis of Jiva Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Now at 10 a.m., Srila Prabhupada would go, take darshan of all the temples at Vrindavan, and he would also purchase his vegetables for cooking. He would return by 11 a.m. to cook. He would prepare rice, dal, chapati, sabji, the usual, and he would only eat once a day. In the afternoon, he would rest for 15 minutes and resume his writing, and he would end his day by taking some hot milk at night. So with this simple routine, Srila Prabhupada managed to publish his first book, Commercial. What was the first book Srila Prabhupada published?
Was it the first little volume of Srimad Bhagavatam?
No, but that was one of the first few books he published.
Is it easy or hard?
It's pretty easy.
Easy?
Easy journey to other planets.
You got it, bro. Yes.
Yeah.
It's Easy Journey to Other Planets. Alright. So, Srila Prabhupada, in the 6 years that he stayed at the Radha Damodar temple, he wrote his first 2 books, Easy Journey to Other Planets and In Search of the Ultimate Goal of Life, along with the first 2 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, after his years of tapasya and writing, Srila Prabhupada is really thinking about this mission that his Guru Maharaj told him to do. He began to plan his trip to the West. So he had met a gentleman named Mr. Agarwal, and he was a businessman from Mathura. And Srila Prabhupada told Mr. Agarwal about his desire or his mission to come and preach in America, spread the message of Lord Chaitanya in English. So this simple conversation Srila Prabhupada had with Mr. Agarwal eventually led to a sponsorship in America through Agarwal's son, Gopal, who was an engineer in Pennsylvania. Nice. So, nowadays you can imagine how hard it is to get a visa or green card to America. But I don't know, back in the day, it's not easy. It was always a very difficult process. But on top of that, imagine being a sannyasi with no source of income, no money to spend, and just relying on the donation of other people. So Srila Prabhupada had actually tried multiple times to go out into the West. He actually tried for the first time to go to Japan, but he could not get the funding for his trip to Japan, so he wasn't able to go. And he had actually previously, before, talked with this India, the steamship company that Srila Prabhupada went on, which we'll talk about in a bit, and he got a 50% sponsorship. So if you could just find the rest of the 50% to be covered, Srila Prabhupada could have gone. But even that, Srila Prabhupada was not able to get. So this was a very, very difficult process. And not only was the money the difficult part, but also, this is an old man who's going to America, right? Govinda Dasi, which was Prabhupada's secretary, said in one of our Srila Prabhupada memories, so this is her recounting, Prabhupada said, when I was in India, everyone told me, oh Swamiji, don't go to America. In America, there will be no food for you. You will starve. They only eat meat in America. And Prabhupada said, I simply told them, what is that? I shall live on bread and potatoes. I thought I would be living, this is Srila Prabhupada still speaking, I thought I would be living on bread and potatoes, but now I see that Krishna has sent everything. Dal, rice, chapatis. So just think how amazing it is. And Govinda Dasi was also Srila Prabhupada's cook. She was the one. So one time, this was the conversation that happened when she brought in Srila Prabhupada's prasad for his lunch. And this is really so inspiring that this is a movement Srila Prabhupada created in a country where there wasn't any talk of someone being vegetarian. I mean, veganism has only recently sprouted up. You couldn't find anything, but Srila Prabhupada, he managed to survive. So this is actually a beautiful picture of the Jaladuta, the messenger of the water, and the Jaladuta carried the messenger of peace on the. So again, Srila Prabhupada's determination was unmatchable. He said, I will live only off of potatoes and bread. And so that's how much his determination was, right? So Srila Prabhupada then, he said, okay, I have to go to America no matter what. I have spent so many years of my life translating these books, understanding these books, and deliberating on my Guru Maharaj's instructions. So he traveled to Bombay to seek assistance from Sumati Morarji, who was the head of the Scindia steamship line. And Morarji had actually told Srila Prabhupada, no, not just once, but multiple times. She said, you are an old man, you cannot go to India. You cannot go to America. Just think about the winters in New York. An Indian man has never seen, anyone from there really has not seen snow before. How would Srila Prabhupada have survived? But Srila Prabhupada, he won her over, and so she arranged a place for him on the Jaladuta. Look at Srila Prabhupada. He was fast forward. Max, he said something about this.
Oh yeah, you're right. Let me get that. Actually, this is part of Srila Prabhupada memories at some point. One of his disciples found this picture of Srila Prabhupada as a passport picture, and they noted how kind of grim Srila Prabhupada looked, and they commented on it. Srila Prabhupada said, actually, this is the happiest day of my life. Maybe a visa picture. And they said, this is the day that I was properly fulfilled my Guru Maharaj's desire to go to the West. And I snapped this picture. So even though it may not look like it, Srila Prabhupada is beaming on the inside.
So yeah, Srila Prabhupada packed his trunks, his 200 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam, his personal suitcase, an umbrella, and a supply of rice. And this was no ordinary journey, right? This was a culmination of decades of preparation, and it was just the beginning of Srila Prabhupada bringing Krishna consciousness to the West. And here we also confront the mystery of the Vaishnavas. How could a feeble man with no money and no contacts survive such hardships, and then plant the seeds of a worldwide movement? So the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 23, verse 39 says, Tandra Vakya Mudra Vigneha na Pujaya. No one can understand the activities of a pure devotee. And even Srila Prabhupada did not understand why he came to America. Krishna, can you sing this?
Karo kripa kale Krishna Adame Frati Ki lagia nileta Koro ebegati. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. So, this is one of two poems that Srila Prabhupada wrote on through the journey of the Jaladuta. I'm sure we'll go into a little more detail on that journey. But at this point, he had already been through so much hardship on just the voyage alone. And then after seeing everything on the Boston Harbor, we commented he was only there for a day, realistically. And even in that one day, he could already see the daunting task that was about to happen. But regardless of that, he still accepted. He could have stayed on the Jaladuta and not gotten off in New York when it arrived there. But despite all the hardships that he went through, he put it through all this work and he enacted the order of spiritual master. So he embodied humbleness and he was ready to enact that mission.
It was all for the spiritual.
Yeah, so as we know, Srila Prabhupada only met his spiritual master 2 times in his life. Both were short visits, well, relatively. But the one instruction he got twice, both times, was, you're an educated man, you speak English, go preach Krishna consciousness in the West. So there's a couple pastimes that highlight, there's many actually, but the ones couple we came across that highlight Srila Prabhupada's devotion and love for his guru. Even the guru he only met twice in his life, 2 days. So these stories are recounted by a disciple named Sudama Das, if anyone knows that name. He's kind of a more eccentric looking character. He came to the LA temple and came from a background of actors, a family of actors. In short order, Sudama became one of Srila Prabhupada's personal servants, cooking and cleaning and bringing things for him at the LA temple. So one day he recounts, Srila Prabhupada was sitting in this room and he had come to just bring him some lunch, some prasada. And he said he walked into the room and everything looked gold and purple. And the air had kind of a spiritual charge to it. There was something different. And he poked his head in a little further, and Srila Prabhupada was sitting there looking out the window at a field of grass. And he was sitting there, Swami said, crying and chanting. Crying, chanting, crying, chanting. That's all he was doing. So Sridhama Das closed the door, ran to Govinda Das. This was one of his first days on the job. He went to Govinda Das and said, is this normal? Or what's going on? Is Srila Prabhupada okay? And Govinda Das said, yes, this is a pure devotee. This is what they do. So after a little while, Sridhama Das worked up the courage to go back into his room. And this time, once he poked his head in, Srila Prabhupada, without stopping what he was doing, he said, Sridhama, don't leave. So Sridhama walked in and got to watch Prabhupada sit and cry and chant for a little while. Srila Prabhupada said, do you know why I'm crying? He said, I'm crying because of the mercy of my Guru Maharaj, that I'm allowed to see Krishna as we speak over this field of grass. And at this point, Sridhama Das said, he just started crying himself. And Srila Prabhupada said, now why are you crying? And Sridhama said, well, I've just never met such a merciful and powerful soul like you. Prabhupada said, yes, this is Krishna's arrangement. And on a second occasion, in the same room, in a similar time frame, Srila Prabhupada had Sudama Das call in a whole group of devotees, disciples, the heavy hitters, said. I won't list them all, but it's all top guns. And they entered, and Srila Prabhupada was crying and chanting and crying. He said this time tears were streaming down his face. Like rivers, streaming. So the group enters, they pay obeisances. And he says, they all got up, and Hamsadutta Das said, all glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. And they all burst into tears, just like that. Srila Prabhupada, why are you crying? Sit up. And they all go, because Srila Prabhupada, you're so... He says, no. No. It is my Guru Maharaj. It is by his mercy. Without his mercy, I would be nothing. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. So anyways, these are a couple pilot comments that Srila Prabhupada highlights, exemplifies the kind of surrender and we should be having to our Guru and our fundamental Guru, Srila Prabhupada. This is our mood towards Srila Prabhupada. Without Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we're nothing. Nothing at all. So, we have a verse here. Mercy, did you like to read the verse?
Bhakti parivatena parivashnena sevaya upadekshati te jnanam jnanastarpadarshina. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
So, this is just a bit of evidence from Bhagavad Gita. I think we all know this attitude that we should have, and that without inquiry upon a spiritual master, we can't make any progress. There's some other things, but I think we're hitting time at this point. So, yes, we're getting a bit absorbed. So anyways, we all know, now the thing is, we all know Srila Prabhupada, or most of us know Srila Prabhupada in this position as universal guru, universal teacher, highest of the high level. He's on a pedestal, he's on the Vyasa-san. We all come in and pay our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. But how many of us know his lighter side, his personable side, his compassionate side, his sweet side, his funny side? The side that made all of these rascal Westerners fall in love with him from the first instant they met him. So, we'll recount some. Oh yes, nice picture of Srila Prabhupada. So, yeah, the real Srila Prabhupada. So we'll recount some stories about Srila Prabhupada's interactions with his disciples and others.
It's going to be a lightning round.
Please speak a little louder.
I'm going to speak louder, I'm going to speak
Yeah,
quickly,
yeah.
so try your best to keep up.
Laptop.
So, this pastime comes from Hidikesh Das. And in this pastime specifically, the setting is, where are you going? Oh. The setting is, they're in Africa, they're kind of in an outpost, middle of nowhere, and at this time, because it's only this Prabhu with Srila Prabhupada, at this time there was a really big problem with the Boga in Africa. There were like food shortages and this and that, and the devotees were having trouble in Africa actually getting proper goods. It was explained that the little they had to cook with was a shelf and a hot stove. And a hot stove didn't get that hot. They described the dough, not the dough, the flour. The flour was more like sawdust. And just terrible conditions, terrible cooking conditions. Well, Hidikesh, this Prabhu, he was trying to get Srila Prabhupada's meals going, trying to make chapatis, and they would just always come out really, really bad. He explained it was like serving cardboard chapatis to Srila Prabhupada. And something that Shruti Kirti Prabhu would always say is, good meal meant good chapati. If you have a good chapati, everything else is forgiven. So Srila Prabhupada, he was getting a little annoyed, you know? These chapatis are coming in. So he confronted Hidikesh. He said, you know, well, what's wrong with the chapatis? What's going on in the kitchen? He looked at him, he said, no one can make chapatis on these stoves. Srila Prabhupada looked at him, no one? Because he was at his desk. You know, he was writing and they had brought him the prasadam. So Hidikesh, he doubled down. No one can make chapatis on these stoves. Maybe Shruti Kirti, maybe. But no one else. He said, are you sure no one can make chapatis on these stoves? He's doubling down, no one. Srila Prabhupada, he slammed the desk, got up. And he went into the kitchen. He said, come on, let's go. Whoa. Srila Prabhupada's stepping in the kitchen now. And one thing we know, Srila Prabhupada is expert, especially in the kitchen. So Srila Prabhupada, they were sitting on the floor. The dough was already ready. So Srila Prabhupada grabbed the dough. He's looking at Hidikesh the whole time. Takes it out. Rolls it out. Always rolls up chapatis perfectly. He takes the chapati, puts it on the stove. It doesn't puff. Hidikesh, when he saw it didn't puff, he smirked. Srila Prabhupada heard the smirk. And the moment that the smirk happened, Srila Prabhupada turned around. Real quick, he sat back down. He grabbed the dough again. This time, he had a little bit more attitude with it. He used it even faster now. He grabbed it, threw it on the stove. Poof! It puffed immediately. He grabbed the chapati. Oh, we're not done. He grabs the chapati. He turns to Hidikesh and he throws it at his nose. And then from there, he stood up triumphantly and he went back to his desk. Hidikesh explained, at least him being in that scenario, it was the funniest interaction, the sweetest interaction he had ever had with Srila Prabhupada. And along with this, one thing that we also know about Srila Prabhupada is he will never ask you to do something that he cannot do himself. Part of the reason that he went to that kitchen himself to make that chapati. So, lighthearted. There's so many loving interactions with Srila Prabhupada like this. And this is only a piece of it.
Mine won't have the same amount of energy, but you're going to do. Be a little disappointed. But Srila Prabhupada did not like it very much when his disciples were taking naps. We don't take naps. I love naps. No, but Shruti Kirti, his personal servant, got really much into the habit of taking naps because Srila Prabhupada himself, he would also take naps after eating his lunch, right? So when Srila Prabhupada is napping, wow, that's the perfect time for me to take a nap. Because one thing about Srila Prabhupada is he's very, very quick. What did Shruti Kirti say about Srila Prabhupada's quickness, Max?
The quickness of the shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shruti Kirti used to help Srila Prabhupada put his shoes on in the morning. And for Srila Prabhupada, this meant in stride. So, you put one shoe down on the ground, he slips in. Before he's even he's in the shoe, and then his next foot's moving already forced. So the next shoe has to go down right in front of his. He cannot break stride. If you break stride, you're finished. He's gonna look at you with his eyes.
Yeah, that was the thing. So many people would always ask Shruti Kirti, oh, can I help you with your service to Srila Prabhupada? But they never understood how fast they had to be if you wanted to serve Srila Prabhupada. Even putting the shoes, just 2 shoes in the same place, that's still too slow. Srila Prabhupada was that fast. So, one afternoon, Shruti Kirti fell into a deep sleep. And then he started hearing this bell ringing. And that's what Srila Prabhupada would do. Whenever he needed to call his servants in, he would hear this bell ringing. So half asleep, he wakes up and he's hearing this ring. So then he pulls himself together and goes into Srila Prabhupada's room. And then he offers his obeisances. And Prabhupada looks at him and says, I've been ringing this bell for hours. Oh my gosh. This is scary now. Was I sleeping that much? Then Srila Prabhupada says, why aren't you chanting? And Shruti actually wasn't chanting. Prabhupada knew. Prabhupada always knew. And sometimes he revealed when he knew, and sometimes Srila Prabhupada did. But this time, he told Shruti plainly. And Shruti just said the first excuse that comes to his mind. He said, Prabhupada, I'm just sitting in my room all day waiting for something to do. And so Shruti tells Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I'm just sitting in my room all day waiting for something to do. And Prabhupada said, I'm also sitting in my room all day. Every morning I go for a walk. We go together, we walk, we chant, then we come back. And Shruti said, Prabhupada, it is very difficult for me to sit in my room all day. But instead of chastising him, Prabhupada asked him very softly, so what are we going to do? And this is who Srila Prabhupada was. He could have scolded Shruti, he could have shamed Shruti, but instead he made it a problem to be solved together. So then Prabhupada called for Gurandhar, one of his most trusted disciples, and he would always be praising Gurandhar. He would say, Gurandhar made that, Gurandhar can do anything. So Gurandhar came in, and he sat down before Srila Prabhupada, and he waited for his instructions. Srila Prabhupada told Gurandhar, he said, Shruti is not getting his rounds done. He says he has too much time on his hands, and it is difficult for him to just sit and chant. So what can we do? Gurandhar says, Srila Prabhupada, we can get another dictaphone machine. You can begin translating Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Shruti can type the transcripts. That way he'll always be engaged. And Prabhupada turned to Shruti, you know how to type?
Yes.
Good. Then, after our morning walk, you collect the tapes, sit down, transcribe. You'll have something to do, and then you can chant your rounds peacefully. So the next morning, the dictaphone arrived. Prabhupada dictated one tape, and Shruti typed it all out. And then, after that day, there were no more tapes. But just that one tape. That one tape was enough, because by then, the lesson had taken root. Shruti never neglected his rounds again. And looking back, Shruti realized what had actually happened. Prabhupada didn't solve this problem with a clever arrangement. He cured it with compassion. He showed Shruti that I'm your Guru Maharaj and I care for you. What is going on? How can we solve this together? And that's what Shruti saw. That was Srila Prabhupada. He's always lifting and he's never crushing. And the reason why this was a story that we all chose is because even if you have the purest association, you can still slip and you can still fall down in your sadhana, right? Being next to a pure devotee of Srila Prabhupada was no guarantee of automatically chanting your rounds. You can still falter. So, it's really important that here at our Bhakti House ISKCON Orlando, we should also check up on each other, encourage each other, and show that we care. For example, Max is always asking, oh, you won't say it actually, you would like point to his feedback and be like, did you do your 16 rounds? And I'll be like, yes, Prabhu, I did it. So I have to report to him every time I see him. But yeah, so in this way, I know Marisha is always checking up on the japa too. So like this, we should always interact with each other and ask about our spiritual lives, not just about our japa, but also about our service. Hey, Forest Prabhu, I see you're free today. Want to come help me and do some service? And then we can talk while we're doing our service. That's a really great way for us to bond together too, right? We can also check up on on our friends' readings. We can talk about our realizations that we had for the week, and then they can also come back and share their realizations that we have. And that's something I really like about our Gora Artis on Wednesdays, and really any other day of the week, but Wednesdays is when the most people come. Because afterwards, what happens after the soccer match, everyone is coming together and we're discussing about the glories of Krishna, about realizations that they've had from reading and all these other things together. So together everyone's coming in. So that's why it's so nice to talk with everyone and always check up on everybody. So, bhakti is not sustained by discipline, as was shown in this story, but it is sustained by love, it is sustained by encouragement, and it is sustained by mutual response.
I'm wondering, I got this amazing Srila Prabhupada pastime. Should I? Or should I just keep?
No, but you have to speak.
Oh, okay. Speak fast. Try to keep up.
Keep up.
Alright, so Srila Prabhupada one day was having darshan. Just open hours, open office. And this story was retold also. This story was told by Madhuvija Das, one of Srila Prabhupada's early disciples. And he says this disciple walked in, or this older gentleman walked into Srila Prabhupada's room. He was a professor. And he walked in immaculately, with immaculate suit all the way down, cufflinks, shoes polished to a shine, starch on his shirt, everything was perfect. And Srila Prabhupada and this professor had a conversation, and it's not so relevant, but during this conversation, Prabhupada was talking mostly about sex life. And he said, at one point, if a person wants sex life, he's like a dog. And the old man said, well, I like sex life. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is a doggish mentality. Are you a dog? And the old man said, well, I guess so. So the conversation kind of went on like this for the whole time, going back and forth, and Prabhupada soundly defeating the man at every step. Of course, the man didn't feel bad because that's Prabhupada's way. But Prabhupada soundly defeated the man at every step. But the philosophy wasn't clicking. If he was ready to accept that he was a dog because he liked sex life, Prabhupada saw that there was no traction to be gained with him. So at the end, he said, bring prasadam. Bring prasadam. So the devotees come with some prasadam, and of course, what do they bring? A nice, big, juicy gulab jamun. And they plopped it right in his hand like this. And those days, gulab jamuns were big, and I think I heard somewhere that the policy was they had to soak for 2 days before being offered. So they were full. There's no dry gulab jamun here. So Srila Prabhupada and this man are making final remarks, and Madhuvija describes this old gentleman is just kind of doing this balancing act with the gulab jamun. He's got his immaculate suit on, and he's got this giant soaking gulab jamun in his hand, and the sweet juice is starting to kind of run through his fingers a little bit, so he's trying to tilt his hand up to keep it all inside. Then it starts running down into his cufflinks and into his shirt, and they're just making final remarks, and Srila Prabhupada kind of noticed this going on and said, eat it! And the old man said, he thought, okay, well, I'll just satisfy Srila Prabhupada. He took a little bite of the gulab jamun, and when he bit it, it ruptured. And all the juice started flowing all the way down into his suit, all into his shirt, everything. And Srila Prabhupada said, eat it all! And the old man said, I'm fine. He put it all in his mouth. And as soon as he did that, everything started coming out, dripping down onto his beautiful tie, dripping onto his polished shoes. Everything was just a mess. But he liked it. And after he finished that, he asked for another. And some other details happened, but we'll keep it brief. The point of this story, it was a very funny story. Oh, we have a picture on the side. Okay, so as the old man was leaving, he asked for a second gulab jamun, and he said, yes, this gulab jamun, this will go very good in my rum later. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, you can't put this in your rum. And so, man, no, I have a glass of rum every night that helps me go to sleep. Srila Prabhupada said, no, don't put it in your rum. And at the end, the old man finally gave it. He said, okay, fine, I won't put it in my rum. And this is a very funny story, and highly encouraged to go watch Madhuvija tell it because he does a phenomenal job. But the point of this story was Prabhupada and this old gentleman had a very intellectual conversation. Prabhupada got to preaching, and the old man was soundly defeated at every point. But it wasn't sticking. Nothing was going to change with the man. So the importance was placed on prasadam. It had to be prasadam. So Prabhupada always emphasized this. In one of his books here, which is just a lecture or something, we found a quote: "It is incumbent upon all devotees of Krishna to avoid eating anything that has not been offered to the Supreme Lord. A devotee who does not strictly follow this principle is sure to fall down. Similarly, one who refuses to accept prasadam, the remnants of food offered to Krishna, cannot become a devotee." So that has two parts. One, the preaching, a lot of it is in the prasadam. The prasadam has to be there. He says without prasadam, you cannot become a devotee. And two, as devotees, we have to try to work up to the standard of not eating anything which is not prasadam. This is clear as question. So, yeah, and then we'll move on to the final flash round.
I'm gonna set the scene real quick. This is a pastime that comes from Glorification. Timing is about 1968, 1969. We're in Los Angeles. This is during a fire yajna. There were some devotees that were becoming initiated. Actually, there was also an Italian film crew there. So this entire pastime is on film somewhere in the world. Very merciful, transcendental film, if anybody can get their hands on it. But yes. So, right now, we are in this temple. The deities are on one side, Srila Prabhupada is on the other, and there's a stage. Srila Prabhupada is up on the stage, performing the yajna, giving class, this and that. It was time for kirtan. So, we're doing kirtan, Hare Krishna, as they do. There were some guests that were there as well. There was one Hindu guru, actually, a Hindu lady that was a guru that came with her disciples. Her ashram is in Vrindavan next to the Krishna Balaram temple. But she was there. She brought her disciples with her. They, had a nice little mat out, and they were sitting right there in the front. And while they were doing kirtan, eventually, Srila Prabhupada passed it off to another devotee. They were doing kirtan, and then, he got up and he started dancing. I think a lot of us are familiar with the Swami step, kind of, you step, it's slow, hands are up high, and then when the kirtan picks up, it goes a little faster, The way that he describes it is that kirtan, it was always ecstatic, but it was never uproarious. Those are the words that he used. And uproarious, when you think uproarious, what comes to mind? Okay, uproarious, think like a lion. Like roar! Like when Mahaprabhu is dancing and ecstatic, they say that he's like a lion on the dance floor. But uproarious, it's crazy party. That's the best way I can explain it. But then, as Srila Prabhupada is doing the Swami step, something peculiar happens. He stops doing the Swami step, and then he starts jumping. And by this time, this has never been seen before. Jumping during kirtan, Swami step we're okay with, but jumping during kirtan, that's crazy. Never even thought about that. So Srila Prabhupada started jumping, and it was described that when he started jumping, it felt like the universe was rocking under his feet. So now there's just a whole new realm of dance, of worship that we can do. Now around the same time he started jumping, but then one of the Matajis with the guru, the female guru that was sitting down, they had brought out their bag and they opened it up and they pulled out a mridanga. A smaller mridanga, but mridanga nonetheless. Shyama Devi, that was her name. Shyama Devi. They gave it to Shyama Devi. And then she started playing mridanga. And then she got up, and she also started dancing. And now this lady, she's about 50, 60 years old at this time. But it's described that when she was doing her steps, she was floating like a butterfly. You know, small steps, but still she had so much grace to her as she was expertly playing this mridanga. So now that was the second president. At this time, you know, all the temples, they had maybe one mridanga. And they took care of that mridanga. Because if that mridanga broke, who's gonna fix it? They'd have to send it all the way out to India, wait 6, 7, 8 months just to get it back. If it came back, so this also, never before seen. Never before has a Mataji played mridanga like this. So that was a whole other precedent. And then, you know, eventually Srila Prabhupada, when the kirtan finished, he looked at Shyamadeva and he said, now you go. Now you do kirtan. And then she took over. She had her mridanga, she was dancing, Srila Prabhupada was still jumping up and down. And then this was, again, a whole new president. The devotees hadn't seen a female leading kirtan like this before. Mridanga in hand, and it was described that it was such a beautiful and melodious kirtan that was performed that night. But along with all this, there was so much going on. The whole universe rocking under Srila Prabhupada's feet. The devotees jumping up and down, because Srila Prabhupada's now jumping up and down. There's a whole new thing. They started, before the dust even settled, while they were still doing kirtan, the temples. First, they were calling to Brooklyn to France. They're going all around the world, calling temples to tell everyone, Srila Prabhupada's jumping, Srila Prabhupada's jumping. And you know, the devotees are asking, how do you jump? How do you do the jump? How do you do the jump? No, you just jump. You just do it. You just do it. And in this way, this was a whole new realm of worship that was unlocked for the devotees. From the mridanga, to the kirtan, to the way we dance and the way we jump. This is something that Srila Prabhupada had started himself. Never before seen. You know? And in a sense, because to be able to jump up and down, you have to be light on your feet. But what's weighing us down? Our ego, our thoughts, judgments. What if someone sees me jumping up and down? I can't have that. What if my hair gets messy? No, it's too much. What if my mascara starts running? No, too much, I can't jump. And you know, at that time, it was very common to just see. But even, you know, looking at Mahaprabhu, that's not how Mahaprabhu worshipped. And he's the ideal devotee. He came here to show us how to serve. So, in this way, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, he is an athlete in his own right. There's some other, a different story that I heard of Srila Prabhupada. There was one devotee. It was during a Rath Yatra. The Rath Yatra was going for 4 or 5 miles. And the entire time, Srila Prabhupada was jumping and dancing. The entire time during the kirtan, following the cart. There were much younger devotees that couldn't keep up with Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada, he doesn't have anything weighing him down. He doesn't have these false ideals. He doesn't have this false ego. And in that sense, when we're worshiping, we should also take note. We should also try to bring ourselves up a little bit, you know? Take the weight off our shoulders. It's good to jump. The same reason we jump is the same reason we pay obeisance. We pay obeisance to crush our ego, to lower ourselves, and we jump to throw off the ego, to take off the weights. So both are wonderful examples of devotion.
So can we get a hand count? How many people are going to jump during today's Gora Arti?
Join that. Can you teach us how to jump?
Yes, bro.
Teach you how to jump. Let's do a little jumping tutorial. Everybody stand up. And don't worry, if you have bad knees, we'll figure something out. Yes.
Show us how to jump, budget. The way you jump. You jump like. Yes, yes, yes. Just start playing anything. No, we're doing this old school. Old school beat only.
Old school video.
Now let's do a little bounce. Up and down, yes. Hands at the knees. Hands up. Okay. Now this feels pretty good. Now we're just gonna go up. 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 Okay, feels pretty good. Okay, a little bit more. Okay. That's how you jump.
Oh man.
I don't know, I didn't see everyone go.
That's okay, go artsy.
Alright, so now that we had that amazing tutorial, very hands-on. We can talk a little bit more about where we learned all of these memories from. So as I mentioned before at the beginning of the class, Dr. Max is a stalwart follower of Srila Prabhupada memories, and he shared them to me, and I got so interested in them after hearing him speak about it. Prabhu, what got you into Prabhupada memories?
So, Prabhupada memories, way back towards the beginning of the year, I moved into the temple here, and it was the most wonderful 2 weeks of my life.
Just 2 weeks.
I moved in, yeah, that's the problem, and then for some different reasons I had to go away, back to my old living situation with 4 or 5 roommates that didn't share my values and cooked meats and talked about nonsense all day. Which they're amazing people, but the shared love that is here was not there. And when I was at home feeling sorry for myself in this environment, I remembered that Dwight Pandas, who just walked out the door, had told me once to watch Srila Prabhupada, Memories of Srila Prabhupada. I had no idea what that meant. But I went on YouTube and searched that up, and the first video that came up was Yamuna Devidasi's video on her Memories of Srila Prabhupada, which I think Bhakti Forrest also watched, and
Yeah,
it also had some effect on him.
I can't stop watching them now.
I didn't know. So yeah, it's a bug. I'm telling you, these videos are not like, it's not work to watch these videos. They're so enjoyable, and they give you such a nice insight into Srila Prabhupada as a person that we don't get in general in daily life. So I was, at home feeling sorry for myself, and I just had the videos playing constantly. In the shower, washing dishes, folding laundry, cooking, eating, no matter what, I just had these videos on. And it got me through a very difficult month of being there. That was my only crutch. So that's my nice experience with the Memories of Srila Prabhupada.
We came out here to speak about our Srila Prabhupada memories. So, what is the goal? Or we had a little quota, hopefully, that could be fulfilled. Yes. Quota. To have at least 5 people in this room watch Srila Prabhupada memories this week. Anyone, and then come back and tell us.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, once you watch these videos, then things will start reminding you of Srila Prabhupada memories. I'm sure these guys, I mean, Dvaipandas, I know is tired of me. Every time he's talking, every time there's a lesson or something happening, oh, that reminds me of this Srila Prabhupada pastime. And he's got to sit there and listen to me because I'm so excited about it. So anyways, we got 1 out of 5 for us, because earlier in the week he saw our wonderful pre-presentation and he got inspired of it. Anyways, we have 1 out of 5. Any watchers?
I watched it with my kids, and then you got all of them.
Oh, how many kids do you have?
3.
That means they all have to come in and share.
Yes,
They all have to
exactly.
come in and say one thing from the Srila Prabhupada memory. And with their quota.
Actually, this is friendly for everybody. The Srila Prabhupada wasn't. You'll see in the memories, no matter who this person was, what their background was, what they were saying to Srila Prabhupada, he was a friend of everyone, and he interacted the same way. Pretty much. I mean, he acted in his own special way, but with everybody, no matter who they were. So the Srila Prabhupada memories, similarly, you don't have to know much about Krishna consciousness or really be into this or know high philosophy. This is just about the wonderful pastimes of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, and I would say especially for kids, this is something I grew up watching, the Abhay Charan series. It was directed by His Holiness Bhakti Charaswami, and he, he was the director of the entire life of Srila Prabhupada. So from the time Srila Prabhupada was born to the time he came in America, his travels in the Jaladuta. So I had my little DVD player and I would plug in every single DVD, and that would be my whole car ride, just watching Abhay Charan the whole time. So that's a really great way, I would say, from my practical experience of learning about Srila Prabhupada memories, because you have wonderful actors and there's an amazing soundtrack that goes also along with that, and it really retells the life of Srila Prabhupada. Not only Srila Prabhupada, there were some stories about Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and then in the last episode I think was about Mahaprabhu. So it's really, really amazing. And you can find all of this on YouTube. We'll also be posting a link to the Srila Prabhupada memories on the WhatsApp. So if you're not a part of our WhatsApp group, we have our announcements right over there. Yes, so you can go over to the donation box and then you can scan that picture, be a part of it, and then you can watch the Srila Prabhupada memories and fulfill your quota for the week. And as Forrest said, once you start, you can't stop. Any last words about Govinda?
No.
So the point of this whole class, I'm sure if he was here, he'd be speaking on it, but it's one thing to know the philosophy and know Srila Prabhupada's instruction, but if we know Srila Prabhupada's mood and his personality, then we can grasp the essence of what he's teaching and the mission he's trying to spread. We can know off the top of our head all these facts and shlokas and everything, but until we know the essence of Srila Prabhupada and his movement, or knowing the essence of Srila Prabhupada, knowing the essence of his movement allows us to be much better servitors and much better preachers and fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire and his mission. So, that's why we present this. 6:30. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai.